So how's everything been?
Yeah, we're good. All right. We had some technical difficulties, but we are live and rolling, alive and breathing, in the words of Matt Meyer. All right, check it out. So, class. All right, check it out. Let me just get my stuff straight. I've been working with Alex here. Hope we get him going. Yeah, we're good. All right. We had some technical difficulties, but we are live and rolling, alive and breathing, in the words of Matt Meyer. Let me cut that off. All right, you good? All right, so, all right, if you class, if you're here, go ahead and start checking in. Let me know that you're here. So let me just see a here or a what's up, Alex, and then we'll get started. So we stream to both YouTube and Facebook, kind of get an idea, and students just start checking in. So I want to see that they are all here, that it is up. That was my YouTube plan, actually. I was just double checking that it was rolling. So and wait a minute. I know that my students are here. These students are here. Yeah, I actually pulled Alex's James's slides up. So I have his slides here.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And so we may be able to run through those, or, we could talk about James a little bit without him here, so.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, good. All right. Everybody's coming through. So Nick, thank you. Tony, Jen, Taryn, beautiful, Lexi, Beth, Alex, Kaylin. All right. Everybody's checking in. The feed's coming through, and we'll rock and roll. All right. A few more. Michael, what's up? Hey. Michael's looking at sports nutrition. So I might have a nutrition question for you. So,
sounds good.
Yeah, so we have a pretty good mix, I think. A couple interested in chiropractic, a couple physical therapy, a couple strength coaches, a couple sports nutrition. So it's a nice mix. We have 17, 18 students. So,
awesome. Okay.
That'll be good. All right, so as these, I'm just kind of looking at the breakdown of comments and stuff. So everybody's checking in, like so, and saying what's up. So. All right, Matthew's here, Jason's here. All right, so let's go ahead and get going, and everyone else will check in. It's a couple minutes after. So we're here for careers in exercise science. So Webster University, we just talked to various exercise science professionals in the area. Hopefully, we're hoping to get out of the area as well, because we're able to do so in today's virtual COVID world. But today I have Alex Gardner on. So Alex is actually at Brentwood Barbell, which is owned by James Harris, colleague, buddy of mine I've worked with for probably 10, 15 years now. And so James always comes out and he presents for class in person. So hopefully we'll catch up with James as well. But I thought Alex was also a perfect person to talk to, because not only is he a coach at Brentwood Barbell, but he's also an alumni of Webster University. He graduated with his degree in exercise science just last spring?
Last fall.
Last fall, but
last fall was my last semester. Walked in,
finished up a couple things. All right, so just last year, Alex graduated, and so we'll really get a good feel for his journey thus far, where he's headed from this point on, and et cetera. So, Alex, what's up?
Not much. Adjusting to everything now.
Right. Are you? So you've been coaching. Today's Wednesday morning. Have you already coached today? Have you had some clients?
So today is actually my later day. So I don't start coaching until around 2:00 today. So this morning is more about, trying to create some content and, programming, catching up with clients, stuff like that.
All right. So when you say content, what's content? What kind of content?
So James and I have been talking a lot about trying to write articles so that we can, start mainstreaming that to, a wider crowd, get our name out and stuff like that. Just various topics.
So breaking down different ideas, outlining some ideas.
Right.
Good, because for the students that are in a writing class, can you talk about that a little bit? Any writing experience, how that's helping you, hindering you, what you would have done more?
For sure. It's so important. During college, you don't think about it. You don't think about, the public speaking and all that type of stuff, but it's so crucial whenever you're, for one, trying to expand a business, and two, whenever you're trying to just have interpersonal relationships with your clients and really trying to make it professional, make them feel comfortable with you. So it's super important to just stay on top of it. Even if it's like another elective class that you take each semester, an online elective, well, right now everything's online, but So just to kind of stay on top of it in some sort of way.
Right. Nice. Because I know, with our GCP classes, you take an oral communication class, you take a written communication class. Some PT schools, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as where you were junior, senior year at school, you were planning on going to DPT school, right? That was kind of your plan.
Right. Yeah. So it's still something I'm considering, just kind of settling in still, getting used to, working on a client to coach basis and how to work one-on-one with people. So this year that I'm taking, it's really been helping out with that.
Cool. Yeah.
Just kind of taking things slow.
So it's a nice gap year, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Which is a tough gap year, whether people are off school, right?
Sure.
We'll get into that a little bit, hopefully maybe with James, but what you guys have been doing for that. So well, cool. So what else are you doing? So you're programming. So what does that look like? You're programming for your one client. You're programming for a class tonight.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, so there's 3 coaches here. There's me, the owner James, and one other coach, Lori. And so we're each assigned about 20 to 30 clients each. And so every single week we're checking in with them, making sure that, things aren't, going the opposite way that we want them to, that they're feeling good, they're wanting to come into the gym. So it's, trying to constantly keep in contact with them and, give them that customization that we try to offer, and just keep them wanting to come into the gym.
Okay. So we talk about that stuff. Let's back up a little bit. Talk a little bit about Brentwood Barbell Club. So Brentwood Barbell. So hopefully junior or senior year in training and prescription, all exercise science students, we do a field trip to Brentwood Barbell. Okay, so we'll work with James, work with Alex. We actually get a workout in, so we do a presentation and then get a workout in. So squat, deadlift, press. So we can get into their programming a bit. But James and I worked together for a long time. We met at the Richmond Heights Community Center, where I was a contracted personal trainer. He came on. He was a physical therapy student, and he came on as an employed personal trainer. And I knew we could set up a better deal for him as a contractor, so he began working for me. And then I just began throwing all kinds of books at him to get his mind going on physical therapy, strength coaching, and everything. And he just took it and ran with it. And so it's done a lot since. So it's been awesome to see. So he had one gym over in the Brentwood area that was about 3,000 square feet. So you began training there, right? A little bit?
Yeah. So I started my internship there last summer and stayed there all summer. And it was kind of a different view on the internship, because it wasn't just learning how to coach, learning how to train clients and everything like that. It was a lot of the business side of things, figuring out where to find a space, how to make the space work, financially, how's it going to work, like that. So it was a very different take on the internship, but it turned out really, really well.
Cool. All right. So again, you're taking careers in exercise science right now, junior or senior year, typically senior year, you actually take a semester long internship class. It's like exercise science 4875. Okay. So, and we find different locations for you to intern. So Alex was the second or third intern to go with James. So it's turned into a job. It's been good. So yeah. And if we find an internship for you, it's nice to kind of find that balance between a day in the life of a therapist, a coach, a trainer, but also kind of the management side, the marketing side, the business side, which is good. So, all right, cool. So it's going pretty well in that 3,000 square foot place. I think you said, 70, 75 members?
Yeah, right around there.
Okay. So it was within the last year, a number of things going on in Brentwood with their utilities and water and the city expansion, different things that James wanted to find a new place. So they moved to Hanley Industrial, more or less, I guess, off of Litzinger, off of Hanley Road. And they move into what are you in now? 6,000 square feet?
It's 6,000 square feet right now.
All right. So solid 6,000 square feet. You've all been in the studio here. The weight room itself is 800 square feet, to give you an idea. If you go into the new performance for some of the athletes, the new performance training center, that might be 4,000 square feet. So it's good. It's a good amount of space. Yeah. And the goal was to double your membership, more or less.
Right. Yeah. We're still working towards that. The quarantine and everything kind of threw that to the side a little bit, and kind of adjusting to that. And so, to start out, the year, we hosted a powerlifting meet over at the old gym, kind of as a last main event type thing. cleared it out and had a really good showing for the meet, and then moved over here to this new building, moved everything in. We kind of had the mindset of moving everything in a week and then, just shutting down for 1 week, but ended up being about a month and a half project, moving everything in, cutting the turf, cutting the rubber stall mats, getting the platform set, setting up the rack. It was definitely a lot more than we had expected. So we were closed for almost 2 months to start out the year, open for about a month, and closed for another 3 months. So it's been a slow year. But
so when did you open back up? So he closed for 3 months because of COVID. So we actually went over as a class around when you
right before it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I want to say it was like 2 to 3 weeks before we had to shut down.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was. We during that time, it was definitely an adjustment for me. I never saw myself as like an online coach, online trainer, stuff like that. But you have to learn to adjust. You're working with people. You got to learn how to adjust to their daily lives. So, we got together. We shot some videos of us doing just body weight exercises, sent them out, and wrote programs for them at home, and kind of try to keep up on them with their nutrition, just so that we can try to keep up their compliance. We do random happy hours just to, see them face to face again, keep them involved. And, it's important to, try to build that community and a relationship with them so that, you can maintain your business.
Right. What's the ratio of, how many members do you have more or less right now? 80, 90, 100?
I want to say it's probably still around, it's probably right around 60 to 70 right now.
Well, more importantly, what's the ratio of one-on-one clients versus groups? I know it's mostly groups, but
it's definitely mostly group. So right now I'm mostly doing group classes. I have a few online or a few personal clients. And then Lori, she does more of the personal training right now. So as we start to get more people, then, they'll start to flood over to me and then possibly James also.
Okay.
But and then so we actually also have another coach. Unfortunately, he was only able to be here for about 2 weeks, and we had to kind of shut things down.
Yeah.
So he was a Lindenwood track coach, and he was doing conditioning classes, group conditioning. So right now we can't really share equipment, so had to kind of take that out for now. But
I got a couple questions. I always want to throw out a question. Anytime you guys have a comment or question, throw it out, and we'll just jump right in, just to keep Alex on his toes. So Nick's asking, how do you do? And this is, you can answer this again, kind of from a business standpoint, but also from a membership standpoint. Nick's asking, what's a membership? What's the membership model?
So we just switched over to our group training. That's unlimited. However many sessions you want to come in during the week. You always have a coach on the platform with you. And right now we only have eight clients in per class. So it's a pretty personal session. And so we just bumped that up to $185 a month. And so that gets you programming. So every single week we check in with you, and we make sure the program's working for you. You're having fun with the program. So every Sunday and midweek I check up on everybody and make the adjustments that I need. And then also so if you have questions on nutrition, if you have a specific goal in mind, we can talk about nutrition. We can try to break that down as best we can for you. I know for me, like, nutrition isn't my strongest point. But the other coach that we have, Lori, she is certified. She's a certified nutritionist. I can't remember through where she went, but so she handles a lot of that. And so she actually also does meal prep, and so clients can send in their orders and at the beginning of each week, and then kind of plan out their week through her meal prep. But so it's $185 a month, unlimited access. So we have 4 classes a day. I should mention that before. We have 4 classes a day. We have the 5:30 a.m. to 7, 9:30 to 11, 4:30 to 6, and 6 to 7:30. And so those are all free for you to come in, and under that membership you can come in at 5:30, and if you want to come in again at 4:30 to do some conditioning or something, you're open to do that. So that's kind of what the membership entails.
Cool. All right. I know he has in the past. You guys have done different models, but I guess it's just kind of an all-inclusive.
Yeah. We tried thinking about doing like tiered, and you pay
The
$185, you get 3 sessions, right? Yeah. And I don't know, it got to be to a point where it was like we felt like we were discouraging people from coming in at a certain point. So like, if they want to come in 3 or 4 times, and we're like, well, you're not paying $185, so you got to get out. It just didn't feel right to build that relationship, and so we just left it as kind of an overall membership, and so. And
I think it, so Nick and others may hear $185 a month and think, man, holy cow, you can get club fitness for $20.
Right.
When you're doing a specialized coaching with the qualifications that Nick and Alex and Lori Alex, Lori have, if you compare it to personal training, keep in mind that personal training can run $65 to well over $100 a session. So if you're training twice a week, 3 times a week, several times a month, you're looking at, hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars a month. So when you're trying to do a hybrid model, it's not only group classes, but it's actually, kind of a group coaching group, customization as much as possible. But then the community aspect is strong. I know when, and you can see it, and maybe let me bring this. This is one picture. I mean, this is a rack. This is in the older gym, I guess. But that's James sitting here talking to an athlete here working out. And I say athlete, but any of the members, everybody's an athlete, right? And so they had turf space in the back with a tire. They're flipping tires, whatever. It was hot in there. This is a garage door. But now it's just a series of squat racks more than anything else. And then on the other side, it's kind of half and half with turf. So we can talk a little bit about that kind of that model, that idea as well. So $185 a month, when you're considering the coaching that you get in the programming that you're getting, it can be important. It's very well worth it for a lot of people. Let me 2 things. Michael asked a question. I'll pop it up in a second.
Yep.
But first, though, you mentioned you don't know. I have to find out what Lori's certification has, because there are sports nutrition. He's interested in going into sports nutrition.
Yeah.
There was a question about whether you're going into become a registered dietitian or one of the nutrition certifications. NASM has a new certification. So there are things like we can talk about, Michael, as far as those go. But Michael asked this question. And I don't know what other internships you looked into, but what are some recommendations on getting an internship and what to expect when you get one?
So to kind of have an open mind, so I was immediately thinking strictly physical therapy. That's what I wanted to do. Strength and conditioning coach was not really in my interest at the time. And then the more and more I got to know James and talk to James, I really enjoyed the idea of doing that and combining the aspects of physical therapy with strength and conditioning. And, it's just a different work environment that, I didn't originally see myself working in, but keeping that open mind really, I think helped me out in finding that. And because that was really, I was kind of looking around, but it kind of fell into my lap, honestly. I met James through the careers and exercise science class, and then was going to do my senior thesis with him. And I was kind of got to thinking, like, if I'm going to be spending half my senior year doing a senior thesis with James at Brentwood Barbell, I might as well, let's just try this out, see if it works. And
the senior thesis project that you all do, is we look at various ideas for senior thesis projects, finding different populations. But Alex actually did his research study at Brentwood Barbell Club. So we may talk about that in a bit. I want to get to a couple of these other questions, though. We got some great questions coming in from everybody. I love it. And so Michael, we can talk a little bit more about internships, because there are a couple other opportunities that I know of that are maybe a little programming heavy. But if you go into an internship somewhere, I email or I call the owner of that location and say, can you talk about business? Can you talk about a day in the life, a little business side, a little coaching side, and that. So we hope that everyone gets that. Alex is asking, is everyone in the group doing the same programs, or are they more individualized? So how are you customizing program per member?
Yeah, so they're all customized. So like I said earlier, it's kind of a physical. So the owner, he's a physical therapist. And so we kind of base that around how we do our strength conditioning. So we have a lot of people who come in with, the low back surgeries, knee surgeries. We have, some people who come in with knee replacement. And so they're all going to be coming in at different rates. So it's not like, we write up on the board, like you have a WOD for the, a workout for the day. It's nothing like that. It's, you come in, everybody has an app on their phone that we can send programs through. And so they have their own login. They open up the app, then they see, they're notified of any changes that we make to the program. And then they can also, they can put comments in. So I can see, they said, oh, squats are really hard today. We're going to need to change that. They sent an RP at 10 for the last 3 days. It's definitely need, time to change. So, and some people like, after having a low back injury, something like deadlifting is not going to be comfortable. So, we might stick, something as simple as just like a body weight hinge in place of it, just to get them moving and get the blood flow going. And, just so that they can strengthen up those muscles without any irritation. If we have to change the load, if you change the range of motion, that type of stuff. So everybody has their own program. Some people come in 3 days a week. Some people are twice a week, 5 days a week. It's everybody has their own program.
And I think when we think of a lot of the athletes in the room who are thinking about like a group workout, even that should be customized in some way. But I think we use picture like small group training or a boot camp class where all 20 people everybody's doing lunges and everybody does push-ups. And you can customize that a little bit. If I have 10 people do 20 seconds of push-ups, that might mean that Alex gets 2 push-ups, but I get 20 push-ups because I'm me and Alex. Actually, we reverse Alex. But we can talk about Alex's training in a minute. But so you can customize a little bit. But the idea is that they get 10 people in a room, all with their own programs, but they're all supporting one another, motivating one another, kind of cheering each other on. And that's kind of cool. And so you don't see it, I think, when you walk in, maybe, but everyone does have their own program that they're doing. So, all right, let's look at. So Henny has a question, and I can address this. Maybe I'll find a dietitian, nutritionist that we talk to. But he asks, is there a difference between nutritionist and dietitian? And this is sort of like Alex's example he just gave was if someone comes in with lower back pain, you're not going to load them up on a heavy deadlift, but you may have them work on their hinging and bowing. How well can they just hinge with their hips? And so some people may say that's strength training. Some people say that's fitness training. Some people might call that therapy. It's just helping someone bow better, right? And so the difference, though, is that they help people move better because that's what they do at their gym and get stronger. Versus a licensed physical therapist is a legally licensed therapist who can work with people and bill a third party such as Anthem Insurance or some sort of insurance company. When it comes to nutritionist versus registered dietitian, it's sort of the same thing in a way that a lot of people can sort of informally call themselves nutritionists. They might have a certification, a sports, a fitness association like the National Academy of Sports Medicine may offer them a nutritionist certification versus a registered dietitian has an advanced degree, a graduate degree, probably a master's degree, and becomes a licensed registered dietitian where they're in a position where they can work in a more medical setting, they can bill insurance. And so there's different ways to look at that. And so we will have on, James can talk about this some, and maybe if we don't get to James, maybe I can have him on another time. But the difference between physical therapy and the pros and cons of billing insurance. And I can also have on a current, maybe a former registered dietitian kind of dealing with the same thing, that they're in the registered dietitian world, but now they've kind of branched off. A friend of mine actually used to be maybe a client or member of yours, Shannon Hayes. Shannon does more intuitive eating and intuitive nutrition coaching. And so it's not really in the registered dietitian world, but you can still do sports nutrition work and things. It just depends if you work at a private gym like James and Alex do. All right, here's another question for you. And maybe you know these numbers. Maybe this is a James question from a business side. But Heather asks, how much profit do you have or do you make per client, or the gym really takes on? So you can kind of break that down. I don't know if you guys have broke down percentages, what that looks like.
Those I'm not as specifically known to. James is definitely more on the business side of things right now. But I know that, it was definitely an adjustment moving into a bigger space, obviously a bigger rent. And so, it was an adjustment at first. So that's kind of the reasoning behind why we were at $155 a month for everybody. Now we're up to $185 a month. And whenever you're talking, 60 to 70 clients at an additional $30 a month, that adds up. So, so the specific numbers, I'm not quite sure. I know since the pandemic and everything, quarantine, we're getting up above, where we kind of needed to be per month. I know that James looks at it a lot per month. But yeah, specifics, I don't really know too well.
And that's one of the challenges of setting your price in membership, because it's always the two sides of, that you're bringing in enough to pay the bills, you're paying utilities, that what's, taxes for Brentwood, what is 6,000 square feet, what's the upkeep of that, everything from buying obviously Lysol wipes in this day and age, but things to clean, just clean equipment and that, and then so you kind of have a baseline number of this is what I need per month.
Yep.
To begin making a profit. So it's a little bit different model. If you're a personal trainer, and I have experience with contracting with, and I'll talk more about that maybe when I talk another one of the days about all the things I've done. But you may contract with a company. When James and I were at Richmond Heights, we may have had like a 75-25 deal with a center. If you go to Club Fitness, it may be something like that. They've changed ownership recently. But you may have a 75%, 25% deal with a facility where if you charge $60 for a session, you get 70%, 75% of that. Let's say 70% of that for easy math, but that might be $42 an hour that you are getting. So again, so you kind of look at, how many clients a week do you train, how many members are coming in, whatever. So whether for yourself to pay the bills or your gym, but
exactly.
maybe James can address that a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, here's a motivation question. So again, we talk a lot about coaching versus training. You can be the best programmer and you can write great training programs, teach someone how to squat, but to get them in the door, maybe talking about compliance, talking about motivation, inspiration, whatever. So Michael Fury asks, what do you feel works most in keeping clients motivated and adhere to their everyday lifestyle?
Yeah, like they said, it's, you can study programming all day, every day, write the best programs out there, send them to these people. But, if you're working with, an elite level power lifter, they're going to show up for every single session because they know what's at stake. Whenever you're working with everyday people, which is the high majority of our demographic, you're just trying to make a fun environment. I get texts from clients throughout the day. They're like, I don't know if I can come in today. I'm going to show up late. I can only get in 45 minutes. So it's kind of like, just trying to talk to them about, what was your goal in the beginning of this? We try to set goals for clients kind of quarterly. So we'll have meetings in our office, just one-on-one meetings. We write down all the goals, and so that, 3-4 months from now, we can kind of look back at that and talk to them about that. But it's a lot of it is just like, what's their interest? I guess specialty would be more geared towards like programming for powerlifting, performance, and stuff like that. And so something new that I'm trying to figure out is like programming for Olympic weightlifting. And, I had one guy, he was coming in, he was squatting, benching, deadlifting, and he was loving it, but he kind of wanted that Olympic weightlifting aspect to it. So I had to adjust and try to make his program be to where he wants to come in every day. That's a big chunk of the battle. I can spend 4 hours programming for somebody on a Sunday, but whether they come in or not, it's, that's a different type of skill set.
Yeah. Here's a good question. And so Nick, I'm going to throw your question up in a minute, but he asked a little bit about let me throw this up. So if I were to introduce James, James introduces himself. This is his first slide when he presented last fall. I just pulled this out. He's a father, a husband, a physical therapist, and a gym owner. And I think you could note maybe the order that he put that because, just of how busy he is, how he manages these things. James has 2 daughters, and he's married. And so Nick asks, what does your normal day look like, and how do you organize your social life and your work life? How's that social life going there, Alex?
Social life.
Alex, you're recently married, right?
So I get married next month. So it's
nice. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right. So first, what does your normal day look like? So today's an afternoon day. Do you have a morning day? Like what's?
Yeah. So let's see. So like Tuesday, it's a little bit busier. So I come in at 5, and I'm coaching until 7:30 ish, and then usually right after that, that's my time to train. I try to train 3 to 4 days a week. Sometimes a 5th day, on the weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday, I'll come in and do some extra stuff. But
let me cut you off real quick. Hey, let me cut you off.
Yeah.
So, where are you right now? Just to give everybody an idea of your numbers. What's your PR deadlift right now?
So deadlift is around 580. Bench press is about 350, and then squat is about 545, 550 ish.
Wow, so that's some serious weight. I mean, so it's a big deal in the powerlifting world to hit the 1,000-pound mark, right? So when you're deadlifting and squatting and you're over 1,000 pounds total,
right?
That's so Alex is a beast, and you've had an ACL surgery too, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of what drove me towards this field in the first place. So my senior year of high school, I tore my ACL, both my meniscus, and had surgery about 6 to 8 months later. So getting back into moving and all that, it was kind of an uphill battle. I signed a college scholarship for Lindenwood to go play football, and so that season I just decided this isn't worth it. I want to be able to move around and feel good, and so that's kind of whenever I started looking into a lot of this stuff. And I think that really does help me with building relationships with clients, because somebody comes in post surgery, like I know how they're feeling mentally. That's a big aspect of it.
Sure.
Because I think for me, I didn't jump at all until probably 3 years later. I was scared to jump. I had a twin brother. He tore his ACL twice, and so I was like, that's going to be me. I'm just gonna, I'll squat and everything, but I'm not gonna jump. I'm not gonna, do any sprints or anything like that. I don't think I jumped until one day we were testing out the vert mat in the lab classroom, and but I mean, doing this, it's helped out tremendously. I have no more knee pain, nothing like that.
Sorry, I had someone just tape something on my wall. I was just checking out what it was. So, all right, cool. So, but your training's going pretty well. You're pretty consistent with it as far as mixing it in, because it's tough. Yeah. I know what it feels like to work in a weight room and still not get your workout.
Yeah, I mean, some days it's if I'm coaching at 5, some days I'm coming in at 4 to get a quick hour in. Just whenever I can, I'm trying to get it in. I try to practice what I preach. If a client who normally comes in the evening and they're having trouble, working around their schedule that evening, I'm going to suggest to them, let's try to move to, the 5:30 class the next day, or, something like that. And, so I'm not going to tell somebody to go wake up at 5:30 and train if I'm not willing to go wake up myself and go do that.
Right. Yeah. To start practicing what you preach right away, and you learn so much. Alex already said that you learn so much from your own body. When I had my foot surgeries, I learned so much about my lower leg, my ankles, my feet, my toes. I always told my 60 and 70-year-old female clients that I knew quite a bit about toes and bunions and 40 years of wearing tight shoes, will wreak havoc on your big toe. And I kind of had that with my toe surgeries. I had something similar. So I could, I learned so much about that helped me work with all my clients. All right, cool. So why, just to kind of backtrack a little bit as far as thinking about going into exercise science, what was it? When you came in freshman year, sophomore year?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I started over at Lindenwood, Belleville. And so I was playing, I just signed a scholarship for playing football, for playing linebacker. And so I just got out of therapy, and the things that, I was going through with it, was, it was a great experience. There's very, very helpful. And so I wanted to be able to provide that for people. And so as I kept on kind of going through at Lindenwood, there were some not great experiences in terms of the therapy. And so having, gone to a really good therapy and going over to a not so great experience with it, I wanted to be able to provide that for people, that good experience, and to help build them that confidence. Because, I've been in a scenario where I went in and I was not getting that confidence from the therapy, kind of set me back mentally a little bit. So after I left Lindenwood, I went to Merrimack Community College, got my associates, took care of a lot of my electives, took care of like the anatomy and physiology, that type of stuff.
Sure.
And then then went to Webster. I want to say it was 2017, and finished up there. So while I was there, I was pretty much taking the core, exercise science classes. So it was those years were the fun years of school for sure.
Oh yeah, those last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Is there any other questions? We can go on a couple more things, and I may let me ask two things. If there's any other questions in the group, shoot me a question, shoot a comment, and then Jane, I may.
Oh, got it.
Thank you. Thanks.
If Alex is at work, so he has to take care of it. James is out with the client right now. Is he with the one-on-one client? James.
He's actually coaching group class right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. All right, so I might just catch up. Maybe we'll just hook this up again and do a short one with James, kind of go over the business side of things. I think that'll be good to get an idea of where he comes from, whatever, and then we'll talk more business more than anything else. The class, you didn't take it, Alex. I started the class coaching and practicing health and human performance. So now spring semester class is a new class, and it's really about practicing what you preach.
Yeah.
Learning principles for taking care of it, your health, your movement, your fitness, and then all the way up to performance.
Awesome.
And then also, and then how to coach others with that. Just some kind of overview and ideas of that. You mentioned this a little bit before too. I think in the fitness world, a little bit physical therapy world, when you're thinking about your demographic, and I'm talking to the students, not only that you want to go into physical therapy, but think about the type of people you want to work with. And now we've talked about motivated and demotivated, because you'll find out, Alex called them everyday people. And we're kind of talking about, people that they're working 9 to 5. They have a few kids that, they're busy with hobbies and doing their thing, but they want to stay in shape. Maybe they enjoy it. Maybe it's a stress relief for them, versus an athlete who's working towards a high school or college scholarship, a pro athlete, maybe an Olympian, something like that. Someone who's highly motivated to do that. And so we kind of break down different demographics, and then you can specialize in one of those places. Anytime you intern somewhere or look into a business, you can always ask, so what's your demographic? What do you know about your demographic? What's his group right now? What's a 10:30 a.m. group class look like? What's the demographic?
It's mostly women, mostly older women. And so that was honestly a shock to me, because, I'm thinking Brentwood Barbell, I'm thinking this place, nitty gritty powerlifting training and, all that type of stuff. They're in their warehouse and, that type of thing. And I was very, very surprised. And, but it's awesome to see, people, in their 60s and 70s and stuff like that, wanting to come in, get strong. They all had like this preconceived notion of, I can't barbell train. I'm going to, break my back. I'm going to, do this type of stuff where, they've gotten the strongest that they've ever been. And, they never, a lot of these people have never done, athletics. And so they're like, this isn't going to be for me, but, they excel and, have, these 60, 70-year-old women who are deadlifting, over 100 pounds. And, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, very cool. And I think that is, especially for younger students, I think, because I know that when we look at our parents, our grandparents, I mean, maybe your parents are my age, but your grandparents especially, that it's amazing to see a 65, 70, 75-year-old person, embrace a barbell or a kettlebell and pick up something heavy and walk with it,
Oh, yeah.
When you put it in terms of what they're doing, whether it's just picking up their grandbabies or getting up from the floor, know, they might be training for something totally different. And then to see those people sort of in the same gym as an athlete who's training to, you know,
for sure.
That's a cool thing to see.
We have one guy, you know, he's a 63-year-old priest. And, I mean, he's one of our strongest members. I mean, he just rack pulled last week, like well over 350 pounds and, you know, at 60 something years old. And so he's always talking about how, you know, his priest friends and all that, you know, he's like, you know, they all, you know, are living together and just kind of, you know, the way that he puts it, just waiting to die, you know, and where he's, you know, trying to fight that a little bit. And so,
as a Catholic, I could say, man, that there's the new generation of Catholic priests, man, they're getting into it. There's CrossFit gyms based off, you know, priests joining CrossFit, working out hard, you know, it's kind of,
he's a super consistent client. I mean, he's a real fun guy to coach and everything, because, you know, the more consistent these people are, you know, it's fun to coach them and see their progress, see them getting confident and coming out, having fun. You know, they're, you know, already asking you about, you know, they already looked through their whole program. You know, they're like, you know, session 3 this week, you know, we're doing this and this and this, and, you know, they're talking about it, they're excited.
Sure.
So it's fun to see that.
All right, two last things. Number one is a question. Heather Jones asks, would you ever consider eventually opening up your own business? You can answer this with.
Yeah, so I definitely, that was my mindset while I was in college, for sure. After seeing a lot of the business side of things, there's a lot more that I know that I've got to learn. So if I would say, you know, for extra classes and stuff to take while you're in school, take advantage of, definitely take a lot of business, because I totally 100% neglected that. And I mean, I'm learning a ton right now on how to manage, you know, business practices and stuff like that, how to market. You know, it's super important to know how to do that, because, you know, the better you are at marketing, you know, the more, you know, profit you're going to be able to make. That's more that's available for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I definitely neglected that in college. Psychology type of stuff, you know, learning how people deal with things mentally. You know, I try, you know, a lot of the times a session will start out with me, you know, somebody walks in, I try to get to them once I get the barbell in the rack. I try to get to them. We talk about, you know, like, you know, how'd your day go? How was your weekend? Sometimes it's a quick 2-minute conversation. Sometimes they're spilling out, you know, everything from the past month in the next 15 minutes. So, you know, it's learning how to kind of, you know, like, coaching isn't just put this barbell in your hands and pick it up. You know, it's learning how to deal with people's emotions and mental states, and, you know, because that stress is stress. You know, they're going to recover based on how they handle that stress. So even just a simple conversation might get their mind right, just, you know, to come in and train and kind of forget about that for a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So with the business question, I definitely thought about it. You know, James and I have talked about, you know, me continuing my education, getting my physical therapy degree and all that. So, you know, we've been kind of talking about that, kind of working together on that.
All right, last couple minutes. I got 2 more questions, so we're going to throw these out. So, in a brief answer, we've talked about this a little bit already, but Henny asks, what is your favorite demographic to work with and why?
So at first it was, you know, the guys that came in, you know, they were, you know, wanting to do a powerlifting meet in a year. It's super fun to do that, because then it's, you know, once you see those people on the platform competing, it's, you know, it's fun to see that. Yeah. But it's honestly just the consistent ones, you know, the ones that, you know, I know that whenever I show up tonight, you know, to the 4:30 class, I know, you know, these 6 people are going to be there because they love being here. And, you know, that's, you know, the fun group. It's not necessarily a certain age group or anything like that. It's kind of what I thought it was. You know, I didn't at first in the beginning, I was like, you know, how am I going to train a 60-year-old? You know, we don't have anything in common and stuff like that. But, you know, if they're consistent, if they're a fun group to train.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it as far as, because you realize quickly not everyone's like you. Not everyone is motivated to do what you do, and that everyone kind of has their different motivations, I think. And so while it's cool to program for people who are ultra motivated and they're ready to rock and roll every time, when you get it to click with someone or just kind of change their paradigm on what strength training can be, what fitness can be, it's so rewarding. It's such a cool thing to do. So it takes a little more of you because you're giving yourself each time you work with someone. But man, when they turn the corner and start feeling results, it's
oh yeah.
All right, training question. Michael asks, do you prefer training with a barbell base or dumbbell or all around bodies like lifts and bands and stuff? Now, mind you, the name of the gym is Brentwood Barbell,
right.
But they do use some other stuff. So I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, for sure. So we've actually in the last, I would say month or so, we've really kind of started, changing our barbell stuff is definitely our focus. Obviously that's in the name. It's, that's what we do. But we, it's not just all barbells anymore. Kind of whenever I started, it was, you came in and say, one session might be, you're going to pause squat, you're going to pin bench, and then you're going to, do a deficit deadlift or a rack pull or something like that. So 3 barbell lifts, and then, that's your session for the day. And then you have a separate conditioning day. But, now we're doing, a heavy barbell exercise, and then you might do even like a body weight circuit, dumbbell circuit, that type of stuff. And so it's kind of covering all bases. One of the guys that, we really like with that coaching wise is Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell. He's got a lot of good stuff on the programming, and that's kind of some ideas that we've kind of been running with. So we use a lot of bands, a lot of chains, box squatting, a lot of fast-paced circuits. So it's just to make things more fun because, I know for me, whenever I was doing, 3 barbell lifts, I was going to be in the gym for at least 2 hours almost. So having people run that circuit, kind of competition between everybody, if they're going to do a dumbbell circuit or whatever, it's kind of cool to see people being like, all right, well, what was your time? What was your time? And so, we kind of changed that just to kind of give the environment kind of a more of a motivating edge.
Yeah. And we will have James back. I'll have to talk to him another time. We'll go through some of these things. But his background after physical therapy, he got into some fitness. We got into some kind of movement-based training, studied a lot of Gray Cook, and then he went out and became a Russian kettlebell, a certified RKC, so Russian kettlebell certified. Yep. There's a few different governing bodies, I guess, as far as associations who certify kettlebell instructors. So James was all about kettlebells for a while. He was doing get-ups with the Beast, which is a 106-pound kettlebell. Yeah. If you want to try get up with the Beast, I have it in the studio. James and Alex had it for a while, but I had to pull back. And so he did all kettlebell training, but he just I think he just kind of gravitated towards. He worked in a CrossFit gym for a while and had a corner physical therapy set up in the corner of the CrossFit gym. And he just kind of said, "Listen, I can keep helping put these people back together after they hurt themselves, or I can just give them better training." And that's kind of how he evolved into being a strength coach. Saying, I think if we do good training in the first place, they won't need this type of physical therapy, right? So it's somewhat movement based. I know he doesn't like to hear that as much, whatever. That's more, I guess, what I do is movement and fitness. Yeah. But that's where he's got into a lot of strength training, barbell. But it's inevitable that you kind of branch out from there. So
right, yeah, for sure.
So, all right, man. That was awesome. It's 10:48, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you, students, for your questions. That was great. If you have any other questions, you can always shoot me an email. Ask me next class. But Alex, thank you so much. This is great.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you, man. Tell James, tell the boss, I'll catch up with him. I'll text with him, whatever, and we'll figure something out. I've been meaning every once in a while I drive down Hanley. I always look down because I drive by Hanley every day back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Who's in front, whatever. I got to pop in one of these days. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Otherwise, for students, next week we're going to have Taylor Stride here, which is an athletico physical therapist and a CrossFit athlete. So she'll be a great interview. I look forward to talking to Taylor.
And she just had a client go to her.
Oh, cool. Right. I send a lot to her too, whatever. So touching base with her. So she's a physical therapist, but she's a CrossFit athlete. And so she works with a large demographic, different people, but she does understand hard training and what it takes to get back on a platform, get back in the gym. So, all right. So Alex, thanks, man.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right. And then for students, Just look out. I'll send out a couple notes. I'll send out a couple questions here and there. Make sure you pay attention a little bit. And I think that went well. So thanks for tuning in today. And I will send out some notes about this interview, and then I'll send out your notes about next Wednesday. All right. That's it. And I will see you next week. See y'all.